Consistency is not about waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect time, or the perfect energy. It is about showing up even when you don't feel like it, even when no one is clapping for you, even when the results are not immediate. The truth is, greatness does not come from bursts of effort, it comes from daily discipline. Every small step repeated, every action pushed through resistance, every single moment you choose to continue rather than quit. That is what creates transformation. You cannot build strength without repetition. You cannot create success without persistence. And you cannot live your best life without teaching yourself the art of consistency. The mind will always whisper excuses. It will always tell you to stop, to rest a little longer, to try again tomorrow. But tomorrow is a trap if today is wasted. When you force yourself to be consistent, you train your brain to serve your vision rather than your comfort. It is not about motivation, motivation fades. It is about commitment. It is about deciding that your dreams are worth more than your temporary feelings. It is about looking at the life you want and declaring that nothing, not fatigue, not doubt, not distraction, will keep you from it. Consistency is not glamorous. No one celebrates your early mornings when the world sleeps. No one applauds when you say no to distractions. No one notices when you quietly do the work day after day. But one day, the results will speak so loudly that the same people who doubted you will wonder how you did it. And you will know the answer. It was consistency. It was the discipline to keep going when giving up felt easier. Every great achievement you admire was built brick by brick, routine by routine, habit by habit. You must force yourself to repeat, to show up, to endure the boredom, to push through the setbacks. That is how champions are made. That is how leaders rise. That is how ordinary lives are transformed into extraordinary legacies. Do not wait for the right time, because the right time is now. Do not hope for endless motivation, because it will not come. Instead, discipline yourself to act, to push, to continue. Consistency is not a punishment. It is the greatest gift you can give your future. When you choose to be consistent, you choose to honor your potential. You choose to stand firm in the face of excuses. You choose to create a life that reflects your effort, not your hesitation. So force yourself to be consistent, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. Not because it feels good, but because it builds greatness. And when the day comes that your results shine, when your dreams turn into reality, when your persistence pays off, you will look back and realize that the power was never in the bursts of effort, but in the daily choice to keep going, no matter what. When you force yourself to be consistent, you are stepping into the most powerful discipline a human being can ever master. The discipline of showing up regardless of how you feel. Feelings are fleeting. They shift with the weather of your day. They come and go like clouds. And if you allow them to decide your actions, your life will always be unstable. But when you learn to override the sway of your emotions, when you rise above the temptation of comfort, when you push yourself to do what needs to be done, even when your body screams for rest and your mind whispers excuses, that is when you discover the secret of true power. Consistency is not about being motivated every day, because motivation is a spark that burns out quickly. Consistency is about lighting your own fire again and again, choosing discipline over distraction, and showing up with commitment even when there is no applause, no recognition, no visible progress in sight. That daily choice is what transforms you from average to unstoppable. Think about the moments in your life when you wanted to give up. The days when your goals felt too far away, when your energy was drained, when nothing seemed to move forward. What did those days teach you? They taught you that the path to success is not smooth or easy. They taught you that progress is invisible in the beginning, that the reward often hides behind long stretches of effort without results. It is in those exact moments, when quitting seems logical, when comfort feels seductive, that consistency becomes your lifeline. Forcing yourself to be consistent is like planting seeds every single day, even when the soil looks barren, even when the rain doesn't fall, even when the ground seems unyielding. One day those seeds will break through the earth, but only if you kept planting. Only if you kept showing up. Only if you forced yourself to continue. Consistency is a battle not with the world, but with yourself. The hardest person you will ever face is the version of you that wants to take it easy. The version that seeks excuses, the version that says, "Not today." That voice will always be present, but you have the power to silence it with action. Every time you show up despite resistance, you prove to yourself that discipline is stronger than doubt, that your vision matters more than your comfort. This builds inner strength, an unshakable confidence that comes only from doing the work even when it's hard. The gym goer who forces themselves to train when they are sore, the writer who writes when inspiration is absent, the entrepreneur who grinds through rejection after rejection. These are the people who win, not because they were the most talented, but because they refused to stop. Consistency also creates momentum, and momentum is a force more powerful than motivation. Once you repeat an action long enough, it becomes part of your identity. You no longer ask yourself if you will do it. You just do it because it is who you are. Forcing yourself to be consistent in the beginning is uncomfortable, but over time, it becomes natural. What was once a struggle becomes routine, and what was once routine becomes mastery. The habit of consistency compounds like interest in a bank account. Every day you show up, you are adding to the sum of your future. At first, the growth is invisible, but as weeks turn into months and months turn into years, the compound effect of your consistency creates results so extraordinary that others call it success, but you will know it was simply the outcome of refusing to stop. There is also a deep freedom in consistency. When you live inconsistently, life feels chaotic, unpredictable, filled with regret over promises broken to yourself. But when you force yourself to be consistent, you build trust within. You learn that you can rely on yourself, and that self-trust is the foundation of self-respect. You no longer wait for outside validation, because you know the work is being done. You no longer doubt if you're capable, because your actions prove your capability every single day. This freedom from doubt is priceless, because it gives you clarity, energy, and a sense of purpose. Of course, the world will test you. Life will put obstacles in your way to see if you are truly committed. There will be days when everything seems to go wrong, when circumstances stack against you, when failure feels unavoidable. But it is in those very storms that consistency matters most. Forcing yourself to persist during hard times is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to let setbacks define you. Every failure is simply feedback. Every delay is preparation. Every obstacle is sharpening your strength. And when you meet those challenges with consistency, you turn pain into power and hardship into resilience. Remember, nothing extraordinary is ever built overnight. The pyramids were not built in a week. Masterpieces were not painted in a day. Legacies were not created with one effort. They were built through daily labor, through relentless dedication, through consistency that stretched across time. Your dreams are no different. They will not appear suddenly. They will require you to keep going when no one sees your effort, to keep moving forward when the progress is invisible, to keep building even when it feels endless. That is why you must force yourself to be consistent, because if you wait until you feel ready, you will never start. If you only work when it feels good, you will never finish. But if you push yourself to act every day, the life you imagine will eventually become the life you live. Consistency is not about perfection. You will stumble, you will have setbacks, you will miss days. But the strength lies in returning, in refusing to quit, in realigning with your vision again and again. That is the force you must build within yourself. The force that says, I will not stop, no matter what. And as you live with that discipline, your consistency will shape not only your results, but your very character. You will become stronger, more resilient, more focused, more unstoppable. So push yourself when you don't feel like it. Act when your mind screams for comfort. Show up when everything in you wants to quit. That is where transformation lives. That is how greatness is built. Because in the end, it will never be about how talented you were, how lucky you were, or how much motivation you had. It will be about one thing. Did you force yourself to be consistent? If the answer is yes, your legacy will speak for itself. Consistency is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, but forcing yourself to stay consistent requires mastering two essential truths: the power of self-discipline and the ability to endure through boredom and setbacks. These two elements will decide whether your dreams remain visions or whether they transform into reality. Self-discipline is not about denying yourself joy. It is about teaching yourself to choose what you want most over what you want now. Every single day, life will tempt you with distractions, scrolling endlessly on your phone, giving in to procrastination, entertaining doubt, or taking the easier path when the harder one leads to growth. Discipline is the voice that interrupts those temptations and says, not today. It is that inner force that reminds you that temporary comfort will never outweigh lasting achievement. Without discipline, consistency is impossible, because consistency asks you to act even when you do not feel like it. And feelings are unreliable. They shift, they fade, they betray you when you need them most. But discipline is reliable. Discipline steps in when motivation is absent. Discipline reminds you of your vision when your emotions try to convince you to quit. Discipline is the root of every habit, every routine, every commitment that builds greatness. Think of an athlete training before dawn, a writer sitting in silence every morning, an entrepreneur grinding through setbacks. These individuals are not relying on a rush of excitement every day. They have trained themselves to act regardless of mood. That is self-discipline. And the beautiful thing about discipline is that it grows with use. The more you push yourself to do what needs to be done, the easier it becomes to repeat. Every act of discipline strengthens your ability to be consistent tomorrow. It is like a muscle, the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. And soon, what once felt impossible will feel natural, because you have taught yourself to act, not out of convenience, but out of commitment. The second truth about forcing yourself to be consistent is the ability to endure boredom and setbacks. Most people imagine success as a glamorous, thrilling journey filled with excitement and applause. But in reality, success is built in quiet moments, in repetition, in doing the same thing day after day without immediate results. Consistency is not always exciting. It can feel monotonous, it can feel slow, it can test your patience. That is where most people give up. They mistake boredom for failure. They think that because progress isn't dramatic, it isn't happening. But the truth is, growth is often invisible in the beginning. Just as a seed takes time to sprout beneath the soil, your efforts take time to manifest into visible results. Enduring through the quiet, uneventful seasons is where consistency separates the dreamers from the doers. And then there are setbacks. Life will not hand you success in a straight line. There will be obstacles, delays, failures, and rejection. These are the moments designed to test your commitment. Anyone can be consistent when things are easy, but true consistency shows up when things fall apart. When your plan doesn't work, when doors close, when you face resistance, will you still continue? That is the real test. Forcing yourself to be consistent through failure means learning to see setbacks not as reasons to quit, but as lessons to grow stronger. Every failure is feedback. Every rejection refines your approach. Every obstacle sharpens your resilience. If you endure these storms with consistency, you will emerge unshakable, because nothing can break a person who refuses to stop. When you put these two truths together, self-discipline and endurance, you become unstoppable. Discipline keeps you aligned with your vision every day, and endurance keeps you moving forward when the road is long and unglamorous. Together, they create a force within you that no excuse, no distraction, no failure can destroy. This is why so few people reach extraordinary levels of success, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they lack the will to be consistent when it is difficult, dull, or discouraging. The beauty of this truth is that it applies to every area of life. In relationships, in health, consistency builds strength. In careers, consistency builds mastery. In dreams, consistency builds legacy. There is no shortcut, no overnight success, no instant result that can replace the steady force of daily effort. The world does not reward what you occasionally do. It rewards what you do repeatedly, relentlessly, without fail. So ask yourself, are you willing to choose discipline over distraction? Are you willing to endure boredom and setbacks without giving up? Because if the answer is yes, then there is no limit to what you can achieve. Force yourself to keep going, to keep showing up, to keep building. It will not always feel easy, but it will always be worth it. And when the day comes that your consistency bears fruit, when the vision you held in your heart becomes reality, when your results shine so brightly that others call it success, you will know the truth. It was never about one big moment, one lucky break, one burst of motivation. It was about the daily choice to act with discipline and to endure with persistence. That is how greatness is built, not in one day, but every day. And the person who forces themselves to be consistent will always rise above the one who only moves when it feels good. The conclusion is this: success does not belong to the most talented, the most gifted, or the most inspired. It belongs to the one who refuses to quit. It belongs to the person who forces themselves to show up when it is hard, who chooses discipline over distraction, who keeps moving forward when progress is invisible, and who endures the storms of failure without surrendering. Consistency is the quiet force that turns dreams into reality, the hidden power that builds legacies, the daily choice that separates those who wish from those who achieve. If you want to rise, if you want to transform your life, if you want to step into your highest potential, you must force yourself to be consistent. Because in the end, greatness is not built in moments of ease. It is built in the relentless repetition of effort, the unshakable discipline of action, and the courage to continue no matter what. Your future is waiting, but it will only belong to you if you are consistent enough to claim it